I hit top 250 in less than 48 hours using these long-range weapons, and I was running against a lot of people who were using old metas, and you gotta cut them out, okay? We're gonna cover what is statistically the best, what feels the best to use, and more importantly, it's both for Fortune's Keep and big map urzikstan as well. So whether you're a ranked grinder or just having fun shooting pubs, the new Season 2 meta, especially with the most recent update they made to some of the movement settings, and you can cover that in a previous video, the game's in a really good spot. The meta's a lot of fun. The gameplay's feeling fluid, and I'm really enjoying Warzone again. So these are the long-range meta. We're going to cover the close-range meta tomorrow, so make sure you are subscribed for even more. But if you're looking for people to play with, okay, ranked is not fun to grind solo. If you're looking for people who are dedicated to the grind, who know the strats, make sure to check out my Warzone Academy Discord. I have a whole looking for group section there, whether it's for EU or NA, whether it's pubs or for ranked. Find some cool dudes to play with over there, and they can help you get better results inside of Warzone. But to make sure you're shooting the right guns inside of Warzone, let's go ahead and get into the meta. Okay, so first off, we were talking about the MTZ762. This is what I see most people using inside of Resurgence ranked for the top 250 players, okay? And the reason is what we mentioned. It has that incredible close range time to kill, and also that mid-range time to kill is incredible. And as you can see, the iron sights are very clean. Even at long ranges, it's really easy to see your targets. And inside of the firing range, it's a little bit tough because it's so dark, but actually this kind of darker iron sight works really well in Fortune's Keep, where everything is super, super bright. Maybe on urzikstan, sometimes I have trouble to see through dark iron sight. So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll select a camo. It could be something like a solid camo, a bold camo. What you're going to do is you're going to try to look through and find a camo that when you equip it, you're looking for that iron sight up there to change its color. Okay, so I'll go in, I'll select something like a mastery camo where I can see, okay, that's still black, that's still green, okay, that's kind of dark blue. But there are a few camos that you can find, something like this, where now that iron sight is a really bright green. And I do this for all of my close range guns, all of my long range guns. If I'm struggling, it has a good looking iron sight, but I'm struggling to see that post. What you can do is throw on a camo that makes sense to you, and then you're able to see much better across the map. Now, for some people, they don't like iron sights at all, and we're going to cover a scoped build for this MTZ here in a second because it is such a reliable gun to use. But as you can see, I'm not having to control my recoil that much. For some reason, whenever I throw on this camo, it starts bouncing on me. So that's a whole different thing. I think it only happens inside of the firing range. I don't know why it's a thing, but the MTZ 762 is by far one of my favorite guns to use. And it's what I've been using as I've grinded to top 50 inside of Resurgence rank. So let's go ahead and get into the build, okay? The build is going to have the Spirit Fire Suppressor. And with that Spirit Fire Suppressor, it brings our bullet velocity up to 1,100. Very reliable for some long-range damage. Precision Barrel helps us with that recoil control. We then throw on the Bruin Heavy Support Grip, which helps out a lot when it comes to that horizontal shake. And then the close quarter stock is very useful. Look at that, 15, 14, 14. And then finally, the 30 round mag. There was an exploit that you could use to get a 40 round mag, but they have recently patched that. But make sure, ladies and gentlemen, take a screenshot. If you haven't already, you got a lot of builds today that you're going to be running inside of Warzone. Okay, we're going to cover a long range build for that MTZ 762 here in a moment. But what I want to cover first is the new BP50. I typically don't like to gas up new guns. One, because I think it's a pain in the butt to have to level up all these guns. And two, I think a lot of people just kind of clickbait and like, oh, this is the new meta, you have to use it just because it's new content, right? Most of the times, new weapons are overrated. This season, not the case. We're going to cover the close range Ram9 in tomorrow's video, but today the BP50 is so much fun to use for these mid-range maps. One, as we saw, it has great damage range up close, even better damage range at mid-range, but look at this strafe, ladies and gentlemen. So when you're on these mid-range maps, and it's going to make a great sniper support, which we'll cover in tomorrow, it is just so powerful to use. And look, very easy to control recoil. Once again, a great choice for you to run inside of Fortune's Keep. This might actually overtake, for me, the MTZ 762 because it has such a fast fire rate. It's going to make that time to kill more forgiving. If you miss a bullet on the BP50, it's not that big of a deal. MTZ 762, with that slower fire rate, it starts to affect your TTK. But me, I threw a solid camo to get that bright blue iron sight, and the BP50 is strafing and beaming and is a lot of fun for me to use, okay? So the build that we have here is the Spirit Fire Suppressor, which is going to help out with that bullet velocity. We have the Lore Heavy Barrel, which once again helps out with the bullet velocity as well, getting up to 950 meters per second. Also helps out with the recoil control. We have the Bruin Heavy Support Grip because we need, especially with that iron sight, to be shooting as straight as we possibly can. We have the 45 round mag, and then we have the Moat 40 stock, which helps out by 25% with that recoil kick. I know a lot of you guys aren't fans of iron sight build, so what you could do is swap out the heavy support grip or something like a Koryo's Eagle Eye. And the benefit of that is, in the most recent update, we mentioned it in yesterday's settings video, they got rid a lot of that aiming idle sway. That used to be a huge issue. It was to the point where you had to use a Bruin heavy support grip on every single build. Otherwise, every gun was shaking. Well, they reduced the amount of that shake, and now it's allowing you to rock scopes on guns that you normally wouldn't rock a scope on. So yes, there's more recoil in that, and you're gonna have to pull down a little bit more. So maybe this is a long range option for you guys on the big map. But me personally, I'm comfortable with iron sights. I play controller, so I would rock this build right here. And while you're at it, just while we're here, if you want to rock this on big map, what you could rock is this build right here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are screenshotting, make sure you are subscribing, because I spend a lot of time testing the numbers, grinding them out in game, and leveling up the new guns to see if they're even worth you using. So if you're enjoying the content, you're learning something new, make sure to drop a sub. For long range weapon number 3, we have the trusty Ram7. Now, once again, the Ram7 is not going to be as viable at really long ranges. We're talking 60, 70 meters, but that doesn't matter inside of Fortune's Keep and inside of Vondel, okay? When you're hitting someone off of a head glitch, they're going to be, 30, 40 meters away. Very rarely am I getting involved in Vondel gunfights or Resurgence gunfights of someone this far away. And that's really where it starts to get the damage drop off, is past that range. But anything in these medium ranges, if you're running something like a Ram7 and an SMG, you are able to use this both in the mid range and choke slam people and still shoot pretty straight out to the medium ranges. Just know it's not going to hit like it used to, okay? So the build that we have here is going to be a little bit different. Most people are dropping off the Jack BFB, and if you haven't heard, the Jack BFB got nerfed, okay, pretty significantly. I never minded the fact that it made me show up on the radar, but where it does hurt now is it affects your bullet velocity by 18%. For me, that pretty much kills it on every single gun, because while I may be shooting 0 recoil, I'm going to have to lead my shots, and my hit registration is going to feel worse because of that slower bullet velocity. Yes, it helps out with the recoil control, but for me, the Cassis brake does not penalize my bullet velocity, keeps it almost 1,000 meters per second. It helps out with that horizontal recoil control. And while you're seeing a little bit of shake here in the firing range, that's just kind of a visual bug that when you're in map, you don't feel that. So I have Cronin Headwind Long Barrel, the Cassis brake, the Bruin Heavy Support Grip, the 60 round mag, and the HVS stock is so important to this. I don't really recommend running this gun with anything other than iron sight. I can't find a scoped build for the Ram7. You kind of need all of these attachments to make the recoil manageable, but here is your Ram7 medium range build. Okay, so that covers my 3 medium range builds that I would recommend running inside of Resurgence Ranked or Fortune's Keep. Now let's get into some things I would recommend on the big map. Okay, as you can see here, I still have my MTZ 762 in my hand, but I have traded the heavy support grip for the scope. And as you can see, typically, without a heavy support grip, our scope would be swaying all over the place. Not anymore, thanks to that update. So if you're someone who prefers having the scope as opposed to the iron sight, you can still run the MTZ 762 and laser people across the map. It's going to have technically a little bit more recoil, but some people would prefer more recoil and better visibility. So for people that prefer the scope, you can rock this scope with the MTZ 762, get that visibility that you need to laser people across the map. So some people are still running this as well on the big map, but this is what I would recommend for maybe big map instead of running the iron sight build on the small map. So everything else is going to be the same, except we're going to trade out the Eagle's Eye or the Bruin Heavy Support Grip. Okay, for the next long range build, we have the Holger 2.6. This is the LMG version. The Holger 5.56 is horrible. The Holger 2.6 is actually incredible. As we saw, it may not have the best time to kill under 30 meters, but as you start to reach out to farther distances, it really holds up. And yes, something like the BP50 does great damage at long range, but you have to keep in mind, the damage per bullet is so low and the fire rate is so fast, it doesn't have the damage per mag to hold up at those longer ranges. Technically, you can kill that fast, but you're just going to be reloading mid-gunfight every single time. Whereas something like the Holger 2.6, you're going to be able to just hold down the trigger and send hate down range and do so much damage per bullet. As you can see, very minimal recoil. It's a lot of fun to use, okay? The Holger 2.6 is a little bit of a tougher build. We have the Spirit Fire, we have the Heavy Support Grip, we have the Holger Factory Barrel, and then the Ascent Lord stock helps out a bunch with that recoil gun kick, and then the Koryo's Eagle Eye as well. Once again, it has a little bit more recoil than some of the guns we've used in the past, but that damage and the damage per mag really backs it up to make this a viable weapon to use inside of Warzone. Heading on over to the next one, it's another LMG long-range option that's going to feel a little bit snappier, a little bit faster, and it looks a little awkward, but man, it does not shoot awkward. It is a DG58. In my opinion, it shoots even straighter than the Holger that we were just using. I used to actually like that it shot so straight. I wouldn't rock the Koryo's Eagle Eye. I would end up rocking something like a Slate Reflector, or I even ran it with a Mark III reflector because it has such little visual recoil that this was like... I mean, that shoots straight, super straight. I would recommend using it for something like Vondel or Fortune's Keep, but it just doesn't do that sub 40 meter, sub 30 meter damage like I would like. But at long ranges, man, throw on that longer Koryo's Eagle Eye. You are going to be ripping people off head glitches across the map. And it's going to feel so much snappier than something like a PKM or a Bruin, which I still see people recommending. But now that all of these guns have that reduced aiming idle stability, they just feel so much more reliable than they used to. And I would definitely recommend this over something like the Pulamya. So we have the Koryo's Eagle Eye, we have the recoil reduction butt plate, we have the Woody long barrel, we have the RF crown, and we have the heavy support grip. You could, if you want to, rock something like the Spirit Fire suppressor. If you want more bullet velocity, that would bring it up to 1100. Me personally, I find better luck with this gun using something like the crown because I need just a little bit more recoil reduction, but that's totally up to you. You can do the same thing with the Holger from the previous build, right? You can kind of swap out the Spirit Fire suppressor or something like the crown. For me, I'm going to take that ADS penalty just because I need this gun to shoot a little bit straighter since I'm shooting so far away. So keep that in mind with the Holger on the previous build. This gun as well, trade out the suppressor or the muzzle depending on your recoil tolerance. So that covers our 3 medium-range ARs, our 3 long-range ARs or LMGs, and now let's cover 2 snipers. If you guys did not know, the XRK Stalker was a sniper that was not one-shot headshot in previous updates, but now it is up to its first damage range drop-off. And what you can do to tell what that is you simply go in, and as you're building a weapon, we're going to look for what's called the effective damage range. After that effective damage range, that first drop-off, you will notice it no longer one-shot headshots, but has 300 damage to the head, up to 75 meters, but it all depends on the build. So when we go in here and we throw on this fishing barrel, it helps out our damage range, but if we were to not have that on, all of a sudden the one-shot headshot range would go down to 61. Or the sonic suppressor, which helps out our damage range. What we're trying to do is find the right balance with this build that we still get a one-shot headshot, but since it's only one-shot headshot up to a certain range, we want it to be a snappy or faster, almost like quick-scopy AR. Now, the developers are never going to bring back something like a Kar 98 or a Swiss, but we're getting closer, especially with the build that I'm about to show you. Okay, so we throw it on a laser, keeping in mind that this is meant to be a kind of quick scoping gun, but keep in mind, this is 50 meters. So it's still one-shot headshots to 50 meters plus another 25 meters. So it would be someone way down range. That's still a viable one-shot headshot. Honestly, outside of sniping someone all the way across the map, like, you can still reliably, even if someone like this has an AR, peek a corner and rip someone's head off in a really fair gunfight as I miss multiple bullets. The nice thing about this, though, this scope is the Heinrichter scope, which I am a huge fan of because it makes my ADS faster, but we can change the zoom that if someone's coming up really close or we wanted to get involved with some quick scoping, we could do that with the Heinrichter as well. So for me, it's the ideal scope where I can both get active and mixy up close for some quick scopes, or I can bring it all the way down range, hold my breath, and hit a long range shot. Now, we're gonna rock the sonic suppressor. We're gonna throw on the 50 cal high grain because that, once again, extends it by 15%. So an extra 10 meters onto our effective damage range. We have the fish and barrel. We have the laser hawk, which helps out in 2 big ways. 1, it helps out our ADS. 2, it helps out our sprint to fire. Well, and actually 3, probably most importantly, it helps out with our aiming, walking steadiness. So that way, as we're walking, our scope isn't shaking around. I've seen some alternate builds for this gun, and I'll just go ahead and show it right now. So go ahead and take your screenshot. This is my build. But what other people have been recommending is ditching the optic and throwing on a no stock. And what that no stock does is it helps out our ADS even more, brings it down to 550, keeping in mind that the traditional sniper that we've been using, the Cat AMR, is in the high 600s. So it makes it even snappier. And the Razor Hawk helps out with some of that aiming idle stability issues. My thing is I don't like how much this scope zooms in. Like, it covers so much of your screen. I'm not a fan of it, but I've always... And then, like, if you're trying to, like, turn up close, it's just such a high magnification. It just... For me, I'm not a fan, okay? This is a build that I've seen people running. I totally understand if you would like to run something like this. That's not my build of choice. But if you want to try it out, this is another really solid option. But let's get to the final build of the day. Once again, we're going to have all the close range SMGs. We're going to have some super strafey sniper supports and a lot of fun to use. We're going to cover everything in tomorrow's video. So these are all the long range. If you want the close range videos, make sure to check that out in tomorrow's video. If you haven't already joined my Discord, okay, that's when you can find out that I'm going live. But more importantly, that's where you can find other Warzone Academy players to grind with. Whether you're playing pubs, because solos is brutal, and ranked solo fill is just not worth it. Find someone to grind with inside of the Warzone Academy Discord. That'll be linked in the pinned comment and the description. Next up, we have the Cat AMR, which is your one-shot headshot to the entire map. And we've built out a build that's snappy, uses the same AMR or the Heinrichter scope that we know and love. And we've adjusted for the fact that the Cat AMR got nerfed in previous seasons. They nerfed the bullet velocity. So what we're trying to do to make this as viable as possible long range is get that bullet velocity up. So what we've done is we've gone through and we've added the sonic suppressor. Yes, we could throw on something like a monolithic suppressor or colossal or nightfall, which will help out even more. But then it really starts to hurt our aim down sight. And I don't want a sniper with 784 millisecond aim down sight. No, thank you. So we're throwing the sonic suppressor, which doesn't hurt our ADS, but does help our bullet velocity. Okay. From there, we've thrown on high velocity rounds, which help out by 20% for our bullet velocity. We have the Choreo laser, which helps out by 6% for our ADS, which is actually better than the FSS OLEV laser. We have the Heinrichter hybrid scope, which helps out once again with our ADS to make our ADS even faster. But more importantly, it gives us that ability to both go long range and short range. And then finally, we have the ephemeral quick bolt, which majorly speeds up our fire rate for follow-up shots with an additional 40% fire rate. I can't imagine running this gun without it because I'll get a headshot and then an immediate follow-up. I really prefer having that quick bolt. But ladies and gentlemen, final build of the day. Make sure you are taking a screenshot if you haven't already. If you guys are enjoying these videos, make sure you drop a like on it. We got the close range builds coming tomorrow. That'll be everything from close range up to sniper sports. We've got some more guides coming. We're going to have a ranked guide coming early next week, as well as some more pro guides. Now that Little Harvey is here, he's a month old. We have a new season. I've done the ranked grind up to top 250. A lot of guides are going to be coming your way, both on this channel, the second channel coaching, and the gameplay as well. We are finally in an amazing spot where Isaac is full-time. The game's in a good spot. The baby and everything, family life is kind of settled down, and I'm ready to full send content. So appreciate you guys being with me on the journey, especially the last couple of months, as I haven't been posting as much, largely for family, good family stuff. But expect a lot of content coming this way. So make sure you have that notification bell on, join the Discord for more homies, and of course, catch me live over on Twitch. Who knows, by the time this video goes live, I'll probably be grinding some ranked over on Twitch. So if you're wanting to vibe out tonight, make sure to join me live over on Twitch. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you took your screenshots, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.